fellas, we are going to be watching a video by the Kleaper. Or Kleaper. Kleaper or Kleaper. Something along those lines. But you know what? I was looking at this title and it speaks to me. I don't know why. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it speaks to me on such a spiritual level. But with that being said, if you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as well as clicking that bell notification, as it helps this channel grow. Hey, yeah, let's get into it. Let's go have some fun. Fixing unemployment with OSHA violations. You know what? You'll never truly be at 100% efficiency if you are OSHA compliant. If you want true peak efficiency, you gotta start doing some violations. Why do you think I do that in Factorio? In every factory building game that I play. Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty cat. Heck, even in my No Me Factory mod pack that I'm playing, it's definitely not. It definitely is not OSHA compliant, bro. I have a nuclear fission reactor with no protective walls whatsoever. I don't even have a hazmat suit, and I'm handling multiple forms of uranium and plutonium, americium, cerium, with my bare hands. And it's fantastic. The kitty cat secretly works for OSHA and is about to send you to the funny place. Nah. Not if I distract Kitty with food. I just gotta crack open a can of her favorite wet food and she's all distracted. Oh yeah. Anyway, let's get into it.
Welcome to the Industrial Revolution, a time
Yeah.
of invention, an era of equality, and an age
My favorite time. We love child labor.
of
Oh, he's dead.
progress.
Oh, okay, there goes an
Sorry to
ad.
interrupt.
Shut up.
Total Warhammer 3 is welcome to the Industrial Revolution, a
Yes.
time of invention, an era of equality, and an age of progress. Total
Progress.
Warhammer 3 has recently received a new faction, the Chaos Dwarfs.
Chaos
A race of
Dwarfs!
industrialist gentlemen, raver techno-demons, and a work ethic rivaled only by a Croatian sweatshop.
I fucking love dwarves so much. If that wasn't painfully obvious, I love dwarves a lot. I have a good chunk of hours on Deep Rock Galactic. I played a little bit of Dwarf Fort Twist, which is also pretty fun. And I listen to a lot of dwarven rock music. Okay, rock and stone. Rock and stone.
Because today we'll be uniting all dwarf kind, whether willing or not. Through the power of friendship, employee satisfaction, and 30,000 hobgoblins, we could selflessly spread the gift of employment. To start our
Yeah.
campaign, we have Drazhoath the Ashen, certified spell dude, and esteemed member of the Shadow Wizard Money Gang. Beginning our adventures of tyrannical desolation,
He knows how to cast testicular torsion. You better watch out.
we have three main goals. First, to become dwarves. The only dwarves.
The
By
only dwarves,
confederating
yes.
Every dwarf faction on the map, from the neighboring Chaos Dwarf factions to the friendly lands of Thorgrim Grudgebearer. Goal number 2 is to survive a specific endgame crisis. And for goal number 3, I'll reveal that later. As a
Okay.
faction, the Chaos Dwarves are relatively complicated, with 5 different resources, multiple settlement types, and a political system resembling Washington, D.C. So for that reason,
God.
I'll explain each mechanic as we go on. Entering our first battle, Drazhoath starts with several unique things. First, a really cool hat, symbolizing
That's a pretty
his
cool hat.
undying commitment to the Riz. Then we have
The
guns,
Riz.
cooler guns, and their targets, our own
All testicular torsion enthusiasts when they face a woman. What was that one meme? Testicular torsion casters are always all up in atoms, right up until a wizard casts mend butt crack. Oh man, you better watch out for that one. That one's a real sticky one. Everyone ever expects that one.
orc employees. Across the way are the most disgusting creatures you've ever seen. Unionized orcs, making ludicrous demands like only being shot on Wednesdays or food. Luckily, I am willing to negotiate. Chaos Dwarves have an army ability for artillery barrages, alongside ranged units equipped with actual laser rifles and other
that's
units
pretty
who
cool.
casually carry 12 gauge.
Hey, listen, what another reason to love the dwarves, they have las guns in fantasy Warhammer. Like, I mean, That's pretty cool if you ask me, bro.
Shotguns. After giving the strikers a very real chance to surrender, we won the very first battle of the campaign. And we'd only lost 6 people. Because the Chaos Dwarves are such caring creatures, we absolutely love creating jobs, increasing our labor count, and fueling our industry, the crux of the Chaos Dwarf economy. The simple explanation is that laborers mine raw materials. Raw materials become armaments, and armaments increase unit capacity. So we can train more dwarf and mechanical units. Going to our recruitment, we could only field a max of 2 dwarf warriors, but using armaments to increase the capacity, now we can field up to 3. Although labor troops are always uncapped, because it's not a casualty if it's not a person. Moving into our first settlement battle, we now possessed a real front line of heavily armored.
I do like me some hard unpaid labor. In game.
Dwarf warriors. We still put the goblins in front. It's so brave of them to volunteer. After successfully brokering peace, we could claim the settlement. Here, Chaos Dwarves can establish cities as either outposts or factories. Outposts are where laborers dig up raw materials, whereas factories convert those into armaments. Because raw materials are used to upgrade our buildings, we establish the city as an outpost, building mines for our workers. Filling Drazhoath's army with the pride of our nation,
we send the children to the coal mines. It's okay. They like it. We tell them it's like Minecraft. Whoever finds the diamond first wins. It's nothing but coal.
we researched labor quotas and Stockholm Syndrome. Now that's the kind of company loyalty we reward. By marching over to Darkhold, we secured the last settlement of the province, flourishing the local job market and meeting our very first dwarf faction, Clan Helheim. And as you can see, they absolutely love us. Our
they love us so
much.
much.
Has military convoys, allowing us to send caravans to trade resources.
Wait, that's so cool.
Exchange money, materials, and armaments, plus collect unique artifacts from each trade location. Returning to our settlements, we'd run into a slight problem: a labor shortage. Each turn, we experienced some slight employee turnover, usually just laborers finding better opportunities. Because the north was occupied by a much stronger Skaven faction, we need to recruit more workers in the south. Now, I know this might say raiding stance, but that's just corporate jargon for going on LinkedIn. To fix the turnover problem, we built guard towers, keeping our employees safe from the outside world. While our recruiters acquired the finest elven talent firearms could scare, we'd also unlock the Tower of Zharr.
Hate elves. Can't stress that enough. Hate elves. Don't like them. We don't like them.
Here, we can occupy seats for faction-wide bonuses at the cost of conclave influence, something we passively get from settlements and events. The thing is, every other Chaos Dwarf faction is also competing for the seats, and more seats allows us to progress up the tower for increasingly powerful bonuses. Things like summoning the techno gods, small nuclear bombs, and entirely free armies of hobgoblin IRS agents.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, the mechanics of the Chaos Dwarf so far are actually pretty cool. I know that like each faction has like their own unique mechanics and whatnot, but this as it stands right now, it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, it's really cool. That's pretty nice. I hate elves. The elf homies I watch. Hey, listen, I'm a dwarf enthusiast. All right, we dwarves hate elves. We have a book of grudges, and we never take things out of the book of grudges.
At the very top are 3 final seats to commence a hostile takeover of almost every other Chaos Dwarf faction, so we need to get there before everyone else. For right now, we just unlocked a seat for some material embezzlement and returned to fixing our economy. With dwindling labor, our efficiency was only 69%, and the elves were starting to wonder why their population was mysteriously vanishing. Adding on to our misery was everyone's favorite neighbor.
With all the goblins everywhere, I find it funny. In my mind, it just looks like they turned the people into goblins, and honestly, that'd be kind of hilarious.
Stretch Craventail declaring war, and Grimgore voicing his slight concerns with our business model. But at least we're not at war with Imric. All we've done so far is make jobs. I mean, come on, Imric. Think of the economy.
Dude, come on. We're just getting money here.
Of elite dwarf warriors who happen to be green and not have weapons or armor. Although the real saving grace was Tretch attacking my caravan, filled with Zeech soul grinders, blunderbusses, and infernal guard. But while Tretch is incompetent, Imric is just as incompetent. Trying to
fantastic.
Capital from Drazhoath. Even with his powerful dragon persona, in the great game of rock, paper, scissors, the winner is usually gun. My master engineer stood in place shooting the dragon for...
I mean, hey, I always played gun when I played rock, paper, scissors with my friends, you know, and didn't win all the time. So other times the friends were stronger than me. So
5 minutes, then escaping with the grace of a legless penguin. The rest of the battle was fairly normal, with goblins bravely fighting the urge to run away, shotgun blasts, decapitating elves, and the sexiest bombing I have ever seen. After we let the remaining enemies run away in peace, we still had the issue of 2 Skaven 20 stacks sieging our adjacent
they're straight up getting flattened. That's hilarious.
settlement. The Skaven armies were mostly Skaven slaves. How they could use such a barbaric institution, I will never understand.
I mean, come on, man. Using the Skaven slaves. Slaves? Really? Come on. Employ our employees here. We will show you why our employees are better than your slaves, okay? All right.
As the front of laborers broke, I decided that winning was impossible, but kiting for 22 minutes while abusing a single unit of hobgoblins to exclusively target surrendering soldiers, I will gladly do. 286 kills, well earned. A little trick you can do when desperate is to kill your own leader. That way you can recruit a fresh one with full health immediately, reinforcing the army without ending the turn and allowing the Skaven to be employed. Given
Do they clone themselves? Do the Chaos Dwarfs clone themselves and you just get a better one if you want? Okay.
Their cities were undefended. We upheld the burden of enlightenment, claiming our first factory city. These turned raw materials into armaments and money, forming the backbone of our military economy. Filling in the inevitable gaps of our production is where the convoy system comes in, letting us trade for anything we're missing. The downside is that on occasion, they get robbed.
Oh. Okay.
Or they would if they didn't have garrisons. Ogres may be scary, but nothing is more frightening than a flying robo-cow. After defending the caravan, we also scary, but nothing is more frightening than a flying...
I mean, it doesn't look like a robotic cow, but you know what? I guess I'll take your word for it. You play the game, and I don't, so...
Flying robo-cow. After defending the caravan, we also occupied the Skaven capital as a tower settlement, which is unlike...
What change do you want to see? The Chaos card, sir, with a side of fries.
Like either a factory or outpost. Towers produce conclave influence and can only be settled in provincial capitals. The downside is that neither factories nor towers use labor, so all of our 2024 laborers were in one province, leading to some minor issues like a full-scale revolution. To fix the issue, I built another mine. Then
there you go. All right, just separate everybody. I was going to say we can't have everybody in the one spot. They'll group up and outnumber us. Come on. You got to think smart here. And besides, spreading them out to separate more mines, that just means more materials for us.
Sat down with our employees to just talk. And if this might seem like an OSHA violation now, don't worry, it only gets worse from here. Over the next dozen...
Listen, we're so far back in the past, OSHA doesn't exist yet, so they can't stop us. Yeah.
Turns, we raided Imric with 2,000 unpaid interns, captured Tretch's last settlement, and ran into our very best friends. At the start of this campaign, I mentioned that we had 3 goals. First, to unite all dwarven factions. Second, to survive a specific endgame crisis. And third, a special mission I didn't share, which is making Thorgrim a little angry. As our third goal, I am going to get my relations as low as physically possible. And later in the game, it will be a thing of beauty. But right now, we have a minor issue. Is it overkill to use heavy artillery on Skaven slaves? Maybe.
Nah.
Did that stop me from winning the battle? Well, almost. Following Tretch's Gallipoli, he was intercepted by a different army in range of our garrison, allowing us to recruit a single laborer. Incompetent, cowardly, lazy, terrible leader? Congratulations, you are now in charge of human resources. Tretch's attack did expose a general weakness in our armies, with our flimsy front line and lack of mobility. To compensate, I recruited more blunderbusses, gave Drazhoath a new mount, and used the Hellforge for the first time. Instead of using armaments to increase unit capacities, we can also upgrade them by group. For now, we gave our dwarf melee units Frenzy, and later we get access to even better upgrades for each other kind of unit. To show off our new...
Dude, again, the mechanics of the Chaos Dwarfs are just... They're actually really cool, man. I'd want to play as the Chaos Dwarfs.
Prowess, I was overjoyed to find a Beastman faction had spawned inside my settlement, leading to one of my units of Infernal Guard getting 403 kills and allowing us to diversify our labor. With newly upgraded mines, Gromworld-tipped drills, and an increasing demand for real estate, our armies began to encircle the southern High Elves. What I wasn't expecting was for them to attack out mid-recruitment. With Great Eagles and Dragon Princes, their army was scary, but we had their direct counter. 240 midgets with shotguns. Melting the Great Eagles in seconds, we countered countered their archers with Drazhoath's newfound ability
beautiful,
to spit
raining
fireballs
bullets.
from his mouth. Even so, our front line was mostly hobgoblins, forcing us to kite back with the blunderbusses. Utilizing our array of strengths like firebombing, we reenacted the running of the bulls and regrouped while our infernal guard held the line. On paper, they may be ranged units, but 158 melee kills would disagree. Over the course of 20 minutes, Drazhoath
I mean, hey, there's axes on the end of those guns, so you know they're pretty effective if they're out of bullets.
single-handedly kited and cycle charged into a wind, then marched on the nearest city and did it again.
Nice.
Similarly, our other army besieged a different city, claiming it at the cost of a few casualties. Interrupting our conquest was the arrival of Big Boy Imric, who decided now was the time to get absolutely dumpstered. While our empire expanded southwards, it also
I like how they phase out of existence like they just got Thanos snapped.
grew on the Tower of Zharr. Because enough seats had been claimed, we could move up the tower to the tier 2 seats with even stronger bonuses and getting us closer to confederating entire factions. But for now, we focused on developing our infrastructure at Crookback Mountain, claiming the first tier 2 tower seat and finally wiping Imric off the map. To account for our expanding army, we researched the groundbreaking technology called feeding our people less, then attempted to fight Drazhoath's main quest battle against a small force of 6,000 undead. It's good to know that Drazhoath has his priorities in order. The first wave is mostly weaker undead, black knights, skeletons, and crypt ghouls. And while some might say shotguns are dishonorable, those people are probably dead. With the vampire town armies, a smoldering pile of ash,
I forgot what I was gonna say.
the second army of Tomb Kings entered as reinforcements, meeting exactly the same fate, and triggering a third and fourth army to reinforce as well. The only problem with having an army of gunners is trying not to shoot your own units, which I solved by not trying at all. By the end,
hey man, listen, shotguns OP. Shotguns are just awesome. Like the trencher shotgun back from World War II. It was so effective at its job, it became a war crime to have those. Shotguns are OP. Never underestimate them. I love using my shotgun as a sniper and my sniper as a shotgun.
And there was only a single group of Tomb Guard, and
and they're flattened.
Titan that lasted an impressive 6 seconds. Just one of our blunderbusses ended the battle with a rather tame 329 kills, earning Drazhoath his quest item and letting us recruit the Immortals, a bunch of cyborg dwarves. We also befriended a local ogre faction.
You could have cyborg dwarves. That's so cool. That's awesome.
Defriended that same ogre faction and moved further south to attack the Skaven. It's not like their garrison could be that, As we live south to attack the Skaven. It's not like their garrison could be that, No, I wasn't trying to invade. I was just... That wasn't me. No sooner afterward did Kolek declare that he wanted to be our friend. Surprisingly, the Chaos Dwarves are pretty well liked by a certain clientele, because we've taken out every accessible...
Would Nurgle like the Chaos Dwarves? I feel... Maybe it's because of all the red, but I feel like Khorne would like the Chaos Dwarves more. But that could just be me. I know they don't worship a specific, like, I know they don't worship, they worship their own chaos god, not one of the main four. But I'm trying to figure out what other main four would like them. Probably Khorne. I'm thinking Khorne just because of all the red. Khorne likes red. It's the color blood.
Enemy in our homeland, it seemed like a good decision to venture east towards Cathay. But little did I know, we would run into the most horrifying, evil, and utterly villainous antagonist the Warhammer universe has ever known.
Ourselves?
Helman Gorst.
Oh, jeez.
Our only redeeming factors was us eliminating the ogre leader, boosting our income significantly, and decking Drazhoath out in the supreme drip of 6 legendary items. Surrounding his main settlement with both our armies, we could exploit a small oversight of the vampire counts, because they have 0 ranged units, meaning Drazhoath can just fly over the city and destroy every single tower and defense that gets built. So instead of advancing into the city, we just put all the blunderbusses lined up on the edge to draw the defenders out. The rest of the fight was exactly what you'd expect. To make sure we weren't attacked from the opposite side of the map, I tried to bribe the Skaven. They rejected free money. Apparently, the only thing that outweighs greed is spite. While I prayed the Skaven would stay in their...
I mean, that's kind of fair. I'm I could be pretty spiteful.
I called out a vulnerable settlement from Gorst, which got occupied as an outpost. The thing is, its natural resource produced armaments. Need a cheap, readily available supply of coals for the furnace? Just burn down the forest. What's it gonna do? Get up and walk away? To remedy this,
I'm gonna get up and run towards you. How about that?
Factories, or vice versa, which destroys all the infrastructure but changes the settlement type. In line with developing our provinces, we researched tech to help the average citizen, like tyrannical decrees and 20-hour shifts. Then began building our first tier 5.
Listen, you only need a minimum of 3 hours sleeps anyway, so I failed to see the problem here.
Settlement to unlock our best units. The best part is that when the building is almost done, we can rush the construction to instantly complete it, at definitely no cost whatsoever. We were fortunate that Helmund Gorst had met his match, a giant blob of green flesh, and that the Skaven we trespassed against were too paranoid to move. Sadly, Gorst's vacation eventually came to an end, with one of his armies trying to siege our homeland. Gorst himself just kind of spontaneously died. We took out another stack of ogres, and Drazhoath finally had some spare skill points. One of his learned skills targets an area, then peacefully explodes an entire volcano. But the spell costs a literal kidney of mana, unless
I cast Summon Volcano.
Drazhoath, because one of his abilities practically halves the cost, plus certain techs and items reduce it even further. As a Chaos Dwarf, Drazhoath is also a master of diplomacy with all of the respectable factions. We gained a defensive alliance with Kolek, trade with Norska, non-aggression pacts with other Chaos Dwarfs, and the Skaven promised to consider not killing us. Alliances give us the ability to construct outposts, allowing us to recruit a limited set of units from other factions. The only thing that can make blunderbusses even stronger is backing them up with chemical weapon teams. By increasing our influence, we could unlock the second-to-last row of seats in the Tower of Zharr, rapidly closing the gap to instant confederation of the other Chaos Dwarfs. Not to mention that filling out the seats in the tower gives every Chaos Dwarf faction bonuses, like a higher caravan capacity. Despite us taking a sizable amount of Gorst settlements, not everything was going so peachy. Vampiric and Nurgle corruption were spawning rebel armies, ones, and that caravan we sent lasted a single turn. Why hello, what can I do for you, fine gentlemen? Our allies
they're gone,
Grimgore's main army, but Helmund Gorst was riding around the ocean in his vampiric submarine. We're fighting zombies, and we're somehow taking more casualties than them. To solve this problem, I found several hundred involuntary volunteers to rush the construction of our tier 5 settlement, so we could start getting higher level units. Infernal Guard, more techno beasts, and a sprinkling of German artillery trains.
That's actually a pretty cool looking train. Hold on, let me go back to that. Oh, okay, yeah, now that looks pretty cool. I like the design of that. I like the design of that. That looks pretty nice. That looks pretty slick. That looks pretty awesome.
I also needed to recruit a third army, because the ogres were sieging us in the north. Something very special about the Chaos Dwarves is that they don't have supply lines. Normally, for each army you recruit, your upkeep increases for all armies, but for the Chaos Dwarves, it remains the same. That means there's no penalty to recruiting more and more armies, but you're still limited by the recruitment caps on your actual units. Which is why it was great that I had 4,187 armaments, allowing me to increase the caps on just about everything. Then use the Hellforge to give our units even more ammo. While the only problem was
dude, as this video goes on again, I'm just liking these guys more and more. That sounds so fucking cool.
Boiling to a crisis, Drazhoath was forced to march north to save the capital, then reconquer our northern outposts. Luckily, our fruitful alliance with Kolek cultivated in repeatedly declining to fight Cathay. My ethics may be flexible, but even I'm scared of the Great Dragon and Helmut because somehow he is still alive. Kinda. So instead
I mean, isn't he like, he's like a necromancer, no? So, I mean, like, it kind of makes sense why he's still alive, but hey.
Instead of losing 2 settlements to him, I decided to gift the other to Kugath for a benign friendship.
I saw that. Okay, I saw that. If you saw that, say hi.
And $7,000. The following turn, he asked if I would join his wars. Obviously not. After a few turns of forced recruitment, Drazhoath encountered Grimgore's faction. Their army consisted of trolls, goblins, and a Lurge Spooter. Ours, on the other hand,
have shotguns.
6 groups of shotguns, 4 laser snipers, and a unit of literal Terminators. Drazhoath's skills also reduced the cost of spell casting, so we just spawned in a volcano, then another, then another.
I cast volcano.
I can only do it like 20 times per battle, and it's not like we need them either. I mean, we do have alternate means. After the fight, we made peace with Helmund Gorst, and by peace, I mean
we love shotguns.
All his money for a worthless settlement because our attention had turned to the ogres, still rampaging through our land. While peace was an option, I immediately recognized their leader, Santa Claus. The last thing we need in our market is child labor, because I can't beat those prices.
True. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, they're small. They could fit in the coal mines easier. They can get in those small spaces to get the remaining coal.
Santa had also confederated the Southern Ogre faction, forcing us to fight a difficult siege. Here is their army, and here is mine. Immediately afterwards, Santa
I wonder where they went.
requested a ceasefire, and while I didn't directly decline, it was strongly implied. And now that we weren't fighting Dwarfs anymore, our southern army was able to take a capital city, then use conclave influence to boost it up to tier 3. But the unrest caused a rebellion in the province with chaos corruption, vampiric corruption, and Nurgle corruption. It only made sense that the rebels were Skaven. To deal with them, we recruited a Dreadquake mortar. All you need to know about that is that in this auto-resolve, it killed half the entire army, both armies. And just
That's pretty nice. I mean, nice to that it killed half the other army, but maybe our own. Okay, maybe if the laborers got hit, who cares, right? But if our dwarven kind gets hit, then there's a problem.
Just in time for the Skaven to run headfirst into a garrison, get a concussion, then die. Seeing what we had done to his Skaven brethren, Queek had decided now was perfect for a defensive alliance. That meant now we could recruit Chaos units from Kolek, Nurgle units from Kugath, and Skaven units from Queek, plus Wulfric, Throg, and the King of Peace himself, Scarbrand, all accepted military access. So we could begin building our coalition against the Dwarfs, named the Chaos Host of Despoiling Entities, also known as Chode. But before
right. That didn't process in my head fast enough before he said it. All right, that's funny.
When Gorse declared war yet again, and this time Drazhoath was busy fighting the ogres in the north, leaving a single army to defend the south. We'd also been ignoring our industry, so it was fortunate we'd put our best employee on the case. Because the south was isolated, our single army was stuck under siege, giving us the perfect opportunity to test our Dreadquake mortar. You could probably guess the first target. Mounted on a train and loaded by an ogre, the Dreadquake mortar is surprisingly mobile, and if that wasn't enough, it has a flamethrower. Although we took some minor hobgoblin losses, the mortar effectively outkited and outgunned the undead, ending the battle with 440 kills. Some of which might have even been enemies. With the orcs coming down from the north, Drazhoath was able to continue fighting Santa's elves, all afforded by our occupation of the Ivory Road, which is a lot like the real Ivory Road if you replaced all the money with obesity. But the conquest of our eastern employees was about to get a whole lot more complicated when Karak-Azul of the Western Dwarves decided to declare war. Queek, as a fellow Chode, rushed to our aid, but Karak-Azul quickly got on top of our cities. I did try and make peace, to no avail, while Gorse's faction was also invading, and to the north, a new challenger had appeared, Grimgore Ironhide. All in all, we were beset on every side, and only had 3 armies. If we didn't do something drastic, we'd be unable to protect our valuable assets.
Oh, we can't have that now.
Our employees.
We need this labor. Who else is going to go into the coal mines for us? Because it certainly ain't going to be us now. We can't get our hands dirty. We're busy making the machinery.
I sacrificed 600 laborers for money. That way, I could recruit an additional army with actually decent units, backed up by Nurgle Plague Bears and Chaos Warriors. The Ogres and I had also decided to postpone their annihilation, right as Grimgore made his move. With a fully kitted Legendary Lord, 2 20-stack armies, multiple regiments of renown, 4 groups of Black Orcs, and 3 Arachnarok Spiders, I had to use my special move. Auto-resolve. Killing the entire army without losing a single group. Our victory did come at the cost of losing a separate settlement. This time, an army of alcoholic dwarfs, also known as regular dwarfs. Our newly recruited 4th army was nearby the defend, with mostly cheap laborers. But minimum wage employees are the ideal soldier for artillery, because I'd added 2 Hell Cannons and the Iceforge Legion. Hell Cannons are powerful enough that they come in groups of 1, and are extremely expensive. The Iceforge Legion is exactly...
I assume if it comes in a group of 1, then it can just wipe out in entire platoons, hopefully.
That times 4. So we exploited the dwarves' greatest weakness, walking at a brisk pace, forcing their army to march across the wasteland beset by holy napalm. Their greeting came in the form of 1,600 naked men, who we also bombed.
Beautiful. It's so beautiful.
More than the power of friendship. At last, we took the settlement with only minor humanitarian violations, and earned the grand prize of getting sieged again next turn. Then did the whole thing again with similar results, gaining us the very first dwarf laborers. Let no one say we aren't a diverse company. A major issue we were facing was an economic
I'll accept that.
Because we're only making negative $1,000. Caravans were helping a little, but they were dwarfed by a different problem, the dwarves. By taking settlements from Karak-Azul, it was apparent Thorgrim would declare war on us. Eventually, Grimgore had resurfaced in the north and the Gorskmobile was back in action. But
Ew.
maybe we could team up with the Dwarfs.
Let me stop you there.
While Drazhoath could fight Thorgrim and Verzag, we didn't have an army in position for Grimgore. But what if I told you we could spawn one through our special ability as Chaos Dwarfs? Corporate lobbying. Because we bagged a total of 1,000 Conclave influence and had unlocked the final tiers of the Tower of Zharr. Taking our very first seat and
We can claim the
confederating,
top
we were given the
seats.
small prize of a maxed out capital, an extremely developed province, and one full 20 stack of tier 5 units. Next to a second. But the real battle was further
Okay.
south. Grimgore's full might versus the finest naked mushrooms. One hell cannon was the best we had, along with 2 groups of natural medicine users. Hell cannon projectiles can be manually controlled, so I
Natural
skillfully
medicine
steered it
users.
into a tree. Trust me, this is much harder than it looks. Stationary targets are much easier to hit, like these target dummies disguised as goblins. Throwing Grimgore's sacrificial lambs, our leader ran as fast as he could.
And
which,
there
to
he
be
goes.
fair, is not very fast. The great clown-off had begun, with Grimgore exercising his national speedwalking titles against an obese short man while shouting, "You're next." The balance of power was our whole army versus Grimgore and a single black orc. After 10 minutes chasing our leader around in circles, he was finally felled by some goblins throwing pointy sticks. So with Grimgore beaten, we employed him as Tretch's new secretary, allowing our
that's
newly
fantastic.
annexed
We get to
armies
keep him as our
rampage
slave.
across the ogres. Now all of this is great and all, but maintaining the military-industrial complex requires something we seem to be lacking. Minus $9,000 per turn. These
Okay, we gotta stop wasting money here, buddy. All right, we can't keep up with all this.
armies we confederated are 5,000 upkeep each, and the new cities barely generate any money. Our wages were so low, our employees were actually paying us, and we taken all the money from their 401ks that definitely existed. In the end,
fair.
I decided some minor layoffs were necessary. So in a single turn, I transferred over 1,000 laborers to other branches. And when bankruptcy approached next turn, I pulled myself up from my bootstraps and sold our employees again. If you're wondering whether this is a good plan, let me assure you now, it's not. To get more laborers, we needed to win more battles. But in order to win more battles, we needed more laborers. The positive of stealing several armies via political annexation was that we were now strength rank 1, which did literally nothing. Hellman Gorst, a man almost as pretentious as a YouTuber making a big deal out of their face reveal. Him trashing our settlement sucked, but we could easily make up the lost
And then it tanked his career because it turned out he was correct.
income at the negligible cost of a few thousand human sacrifices per turn. But you
Yummy.
can only throw so many people into a near bottomless chasm before someone starts to notice, and that someone is Thorgrim. After 85 turns of insults, intrigue, and incineration, it was finally time for
It's just the IP address.
the great civil war between the proud dwarves and whoever that is. But perhaps more importantly, Mr. Gorst finally made a mistake. Gorst.
Oh? Okay, don't care.
Mr. Gorst finally made a mistake.
What mistake was that?
Oh, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Oh.
He's dead. Of course,
It's
his
been 20
inconvenience would
turns.
outlive him with another vampire army besieging
Okay, I don't know what that mistake was, but it looks like they won, which is fantastic.
the east. Queek had built his outpost here, giving an additional garrison of 3 Skaven slaves. As soon as they hit the enemy lines, they died, then ran.
Fantastic.
In that order. Also, on an unrelated note, our neighboring Chaos Dwarves mysteriously vanished into my labor force. Our economy
I
was
wonder
now
what
only
happened.
mostly in shambles, and my 6,000 sacrificed laborers were propping the whole thing up. Fortunately, we were starting to employ them in my favorite location, a literal volcano. We were even making 112 influence per turn, letting us confederate more factions, gaining a new province, legendary lord, and putting us directly adjacent to the dwarves. It also got us closer to our newest member of the Chode, Archaon, the only sometimes chosen, along with a random demon faction, giving us access to the entire roster of all 4 chaos factions. Back in the east, St.
That's
Nicholas
pretty
decided
good.
to surprise me with a thoughtful gift, pulling all my defensive
Declare
allies
war.
into the war, then losing every single battle against us, the Chaos Dwarfs, to our units.
Oh, well, that's
Skaven
just sad.
Hellman Gorst died to Kugath, and we scored enough influence to confederate the final Chaos Dwarf faction. By uniting all the Chaos Dwarves and with Thorgrim confederating his dwarves, that meant we just had 2 goals left. Survive the endgame crisis and beat the united dwarves once and for all. Our secondary plan of pissing everyone off was also going well.
All the
Gorst
power
had
would be
negative
ours.
227 relations. Cathay boasted negative 277, but
I feel like we could bring that back. You know, they'll like us sooner or later.
But above and beyond was Thorgrim at negative 498 and trending to negative 1,000. Surely
it'll
it
be
can't
fine.
get much lower than that. Taking
Oh,
an
jeez.
overview of everything, most of our enemies in the east had been completely dealt with, leaving us with our only remaining enemy, the Dwarfs. We temporarily pulled back to regroup, while raiding the outskirts of their land to replenish our labor. The Great Five-Turn Plan had revitalized our economy,
And he's dead.
bringing us
Okay,
to
cool.
an impressive $18 of income. Speaking
Oh,
of
we love
raises,
that.
here is stupid amounts of money. One of our final
18
taxes
whole
is
dollars.
unilateral agreements, which in contract law is like a one-sided obligation that as soon as we start doing it, the other party can no longer back out. All I have here is a signature and someone who hasn't read the fine print, giving us 5% trade income for every convoy ever completed. And let me tell you, we've been doing a lot of employee trading. The Tower of
that's
Zharr
fantastic.
also resembles the ideal democratic system because I own every seat. Democracy feels great, but only when you win.
Ah,
Because
we
there's
love
nothing else to
democracy.
spend influence on. Every time
Managed
I take
democracy.
a tower city, we just occupy it at max level. With our lands becoming increasingly centralized, we returned our gaze to the Dwarfs. Queek needed help in the south, so I decided who better to defend him than Skarbrand the Exile. In the north, we tailored our armies specifically to fight Dwarfs. My master plan involves hiding all my units in the forest and having a Dreadquake mortar drive around for 10 minutes. Eventually, they found my army, ending the battle in a climactic chase.
Oh, well, that's a very intense chase right there, bro. You better watch out.
One of our army abilities also spawns these friendly fellows anywhere on the map. By the second
Ooh.
fight, I had perfected this strategy. I call it Nice Army. Summons techno demons. Several dwarf armies were wiped out with the power of the Rave. Now, it's no surprise the dwarves were losing, both in the north and south. Shockingly, we were actually making money. and were progressing
Hey.
towards complete and utter domination.
Money.
Quite nicely. Now, surely nothing will happen next turn that will completely stop. Oh, look, we just got a letter. I wonder who it's from. Verzag, Great Green Prophet,
fun.
renowned union leader and original author of the Communist Manifesto. Verzag has decided to decline employment by starting a
Why are you kind of hitting that shit though? Okay, why is he busting it down on the battlefield? is that power him up or something, or like?
global uprising. In 10 turns, the workers of the world will unite, and most frighteningly, they are now
The Great War.
to the dwarven provinces to prepare defenses, because Verzag's armies spawn in the west, on the left side of the mountains, and defenses do cost money, or in our
lot
case,
of money.
another round of mass sacrifices. Right now, I have $111, but after a few clicks, it's 30,000. Carragate Peaks, Valley of Sorrow, and Black Crag fell to Drazhoath and Du Bois, forming
Du
the bulwark
Bois.
of our defense against the endgame crisis. I was also gonna finish off Gorst until I realized he was friends with all of China. Yes, Twisted Necromancers. Welcome to the PRC. Of course, that didn't stop me from stacking 700 raiding goblins on his capital, prompting his immediate offensive war declaration, meaning Cathay wasn't pulled in. And
Eesh.
remember how I've been making some allies? With only 3 turns left until the crisis, we built Dreadquake
He has a
mortars,
couple more
upgraded
allies.
garrisons, and recruited more armies like Zatan the Black's elite squad, 3,000 Hobgoblin IRS agents. Sacrifices were in full swing, a single dwarf got lost in the underway, and Kugath handled Gorst with his
Got a little
extensive
lost in
knowledge
the
of war.
sauce.
Finally, we were upon the
War.
last turn before the crisis. Zatan and Astrogath had armies nearby, while Drazhoath's blunderbuss death stack took the lead. And as the turn ticked over, 10 maxed out Savage Orc armies with Arachnarok spiders, feral wyverns, and droves of heavily armored black orcs.
I'm
The
sure I'll be
overview
fine.
painted the situation. We had
I'm sure I'll be
allied
fine.
Vlad,
We got it.
Skarbrand, and Queek, surrounding both the orcs and dwarves. If we could contain them here, both would be eliminated at once, allowing us to occupy Karazakarak. But one turn
Ooh,
in, and I
delicious.
immediately saw a problem. 4 greenskin armies were heading to Drazhoath, which we'd prepared for. But another
Okay.
4 armies were going north, and there was only one target for them to take. If they reached the dwarven capital, it would deny us its occupation. Luckily, Drazhoath caught this first
we can't
army
have
away
that.
from the pack. Their army consisted of 2 Arachnarok spiders, multiple giants, and masses
Those
of
spiders
infantry.
actually look pretty cool.
By the end of the battle, not a single unit made it to the front line. At
Oh,
least
good.
alive. Nothing to lose but your chains? I wouldn't be so sure. Our next battle was identical and ending in a similar result, but we didn't have enough quality
Do not
ranged
mess with the
units to pass
shotguns.
around, forcing me to explore other alternatives. As bad as these goblins seem, they are exactly that bad, taking multiple
Ooh.
stacks to actually do anything. But Chaos Dwarves don't have supply lines, so I recruited 7 armies in one turn while my income was completely unaffected. Who would have guessed that the
You love to
greatest
see
law
it.
on the planet would be defeated by 7,000 hobgoblins? So with the Marxist orcs defeated, that left only the dwarven capital occupied by Thorgrim and a second army. Which we
Let's get
lightning
those
strike
raw
with a small
materials.
line of goblins. Bringing
That's a very
together
small
our most
line.
stacked armies, we had Drazhoath's Doomstack, an entire army of techno-demons, and most importantly, Archodes. Every ally of the Chaos Alliance had brought their own might to bear. Vlad's Vargeist, Kugat's Plague Bearers, Skarbrand's Bloodletters, and one holy war shrine from each Chaos God.
Oh,
plus units from our
beautiful.
other 10 allies. So when a reinforcing dwarf army flanked, Wulfric had it handled. Not to mention
Oh,
Freed's
beautiful.
contribution, poisoning the water supply, breaking down the front door. We finally had our grand 1v1 with Thorgrim.
Oh, I've seen that unit in the Chaos Dwarf trailer. Go back a little bit so we can get this. And just, I've seen this. This is so cool. That roar at the end from the Chaos Dwarf trailer was amazing.
Our grand 1v1 with Thorgrim versus Drazhoath and a few friends. Then I pulled everything back and decided to engage Thorgrim in a fair fight. With the dwarves routed and Kara as a Karak defenseless, this was our golden opportunity to unite dwarf kind. But
Yummy.
Thorgrim had been a worthy adversary, and his people had fought valiantly. So instead of eliminating the faction and wiping Thorgrim off the map, we struck a deal. I leave you alone, you leave me alone, and together, we watch 127,000 hobgoblins raid your land.
Oh.
Positive relations, +8. Negative
approve.
relations, -6,000.
That's a lot. Okay, yeah, no, that was definitely a lot. All right, so that's committing OSHA violations with the Grim Kleaper. Again, if you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as well as click that bell notification. And if you could, go follow the Twitch down below so you can see the reactions live, because that'd be pretty cool. Okay, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye bye.